That is the case, but I'm not certain.
Sandwich Public Library District General Meeting of the Board of Trustees, Tuesday, April 8th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. Begin with roll call. Jen?
Here.
Heather?
Here.
Matthew?
Here.
Julie?
Here.
Sheila?
Here.
And Jane, I'm here, and Barb?
Here.
Here. Any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda tonight? Okay, hearing none, going to move to a response to public comment by our director, Barb.
Yes, so Elsie Morrissey's comments from the last board meeting. This is a response to that, as well as previous and subsequent visits regarding the topic of the library hosting science fair and art projects from local schools. So I just wanted to say thank you, Elsie, for your enthusiasm and for bringing forward the idea of hosting a local school science fair project or art display at the library. When we initially discussed this, I expressed that while it was a creative idea, there were logistical concerns from the library's perspective, particularly regarding space limitations, project themes, and the process for selecting and transporting those displays. These are important factors that would need to be addressed before moving forward. So following that conversation, I remain focused on other library initiatives, including the mural project. And when you returned to ask for an update, I reiterated those concerns and shared that while I appreciated the suggestion, it wasn't a library-oriented project. I encouraged you to reach out to the superintendent if you wanted to pursue it further, which I know that you did. Ultimately, the superintendent did call me, and together we mutually agreed that this project was not feasible at this time. Tom informed me that he would contact you directly with the same understanding, to which I hope that he followed through with doing so. Again, I do appreciate your passion for the community and for looking for new ways to highlight student work. And while this specific project won't move forward, the library does remain committed to supporting the schools and students in other ways.
Thank you, Barb. Now we'll have public comment and thank you. Before we begin our public comment, a few guidelines. All remarks should be addressed to the board rather than to any individual trustee. Neither the board nor the director is expected to respond. This is your time to speak. To promote decorum and mutual respect, members of the public are expected to refrain from displays of approval or disapproval, such as applause or laughter when a speaker is addressing the board. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. A trustee of the board will keep time. Please wait for her signal to begin. It is the responsibility of the board representative alone to notify a speaker when time has expired. If the speaker does not give back the floor to the board president will remind them that they are out of order. It is out of order for other members of the public to call for the speaker to stop. Please refrain from speaking before, during, or after someone else's public comment and allow the board president to moderate. The board president retains the right to stop any speaker who uses profanity or abusive language during public comment. If the speaker has a request of the board, this should be made within the 3 minutes of allotted speaking time. At this time, we'll begin. Elsie Morrissey.
Thank you for responding to that.
Did you get your time?
I did go to speak to Superintendent Sidaro. Sidaro is how you say it, but he is retiring. And there is a new superintendent that's coming in, but he was real busy with that transition. And so I didn't get to talk to him. And so maybe this year we won't be able to do anything like this, but I think I'm going to take it up again for the next school year. And they were excited about working with the library and bringing more community attention to the academic process of the school. And if the science fair projects aren't gonna be working, maybe there's another way. Because whenever the library recognizes the school and the achievements of students and parents that come, that's only a good thing. This may not have been the right venue, but I think there is a venue. And I think we should work toward that. I really do. It's all plus. It's all plus. And I was just at my grandchildren in Hinckley. We're doing this program on a wax museum, and each of the children had to perform a person and do all this reading research. And the guy my granddaughter did Queen Elizabeth. And she was dressed and she looked great. And then there was this young man who was doing Blackbeard, and he was marvelous. But there were all these parents, grandparents, everybody that came, and you could just feel the love in the room and the affirmation of these kids and what they were doing. And it's all good. And so I think we should develop this idea further, because there's nothing bad that can come from it. And I just went to a meeting last week, and they started their meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and it wasn't even a tax-funded meeting like this one is, where you have the library. And so we should tell the community that we are proud of our country. And the Pledge of Allegiance is one way to do that. So I ask for both of those things again, and I'm not going to give up, but we may have to change it a little bit, and that's okay too. Okay, well, thank you. It's a good thing.
Thank you.
You're doing a good thing, and the mural is beautiful.
Thank
It's
you, Elsie.
something to
Thank you,
look
Elsie.
at.
We're done.
It's just
Thank
you
you.
just
Thank you,
look
Elsie.
at it.
Thank you. Bar Petrie.
Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you. This is a sandwich. There are two basic components to a sandwich: the bread and the filling. The public services provided by Sandwich Library are analogous to a sandwich. The fillings are books, workshop, documentaries, games, and the like. The breads are ideologies and agendas framing everything else. This is two kinds of bread. One, you see, is healthful and promotes the well-being of the eater of the sandwich. The other is harmful, dangerous even, causes damage to the eater of the sandwich. The healthful bread slices are the Constitution and the Bible. Harmful bread slices are wokeism and witchcraft. By wokeism, I am referring to the focus on sexual obscenity and immorality, which characterized the month of June last year in this library. And by witchcraft, I am referring to seeking answers and power in life from beings other than Jesus Christ and his Holy Spirit. It is not acceptable for a public library to use the taxpayers' money to provide harmful sandwiches to those very taxpayers, and especially their children. Children are to be nurtured in truth and righteousness and protected from harm. As a lover of God and country, I hold up before you your responsibility to all citizens of Sandwich in this, our American Republic, as well as your responsibility to the God whom this country is under, to use the Constitution and the Bible as the breads for the sandwiches which you are serving the sandwich community. The fillings will follow suit, and your sandwiches will profit, not harm, the community when you do. And please be advised that Jesus Christ takes very seriously the breads that you choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Becky Clemens?
I'd just like to say that, last month when it was brought up about the Illinois funds, that sounds like an amazing idea. I'd also like to officially say happy library day and life. It should just be alive. The murals are astounding. The bringing together books and authors of so many different walks of life is the best part of how our young were inspired by these books and praised for their artwork. And it was a great night to be here. It was a great honor. Speaking of sandwiches, I just bought a flour mill in my house so I can grind my own flour. And just tonight we had sandwiches from some bread that we made that's of hearty red, hard red, and then hard white actually too. And it was really good. I think it's kind of good to try new things. So thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Makes great sandwiches.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment. We'll move on to our consent agenda. Anything need to be removed from the consent agenda before we take action?
We just want to fix a spelling error
Okay,
in the policy committee, in the policy minutes.
okay. And what is that?
Under section 4A, 3, it read, we updated language to simple the policy. It should read, we updated language to simplify the policy.
As opposed to simple.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay,
And on my minutes, I didn't have the watermark draft on there. But I will
okay.
do that.
Mhm.
And I updated like the phrasing of my correction from last time as well. Just made it read easier.
Okay. Okay, before we vote on those, I'd just like to make one comment. It's not a correction or anything. I don't want to remove it from the consent agenda. But I just want to, every time I read the statistics, I'm always pretty amazed at all the things that we do. I really am. The statistics that show that the programming that we do, the number of books that are checked out, the audio visuals that are checked out. I mean, the numbers are astounding. And I think that it just is reflective, you know, every month that we get new registrations, and I'm wondering if some of those actually from our early voting, if people actually walked in the door and found that they didn't have a library card yet. And so I think that I'm just really proud of the statistics that show that we do a lot. You guys do a lot. We don't do much. You do a lot. So thank you, Barb. Thank you to your staff. Okay, I'll need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move.
Jen moves. This will be a roll call vote. Jen?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Matthew?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Sheila? And Jane? Aye. All right, let's move on to old business and we'll talk about the mural.
So we had our beautiful, exciting, very well attended mural reveal on Friday, and it was outstanding. It blew me away. I was really emotional the whole night. I'm very grateful to the entire community who participated in it, and the board and the staff and all the volunteers who helped play a part in creating it. And since then, we have had a flood of compliments on it, people coming in and saying that they feel like it's a different aura in the library and that it feels like there's new life in here, which is exactly what I had hoped we'd achieve with it. And I just think it's really special. A lot of people will come in for years and years to come to find something new every time they see it. So I'm really proud of it, and I'm very happy, and thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, and did I see those books hanging around here? Or were those?
There's some out on the desk.
Oh, yeah.
Books about the mirror.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, the
So,
books out on the front desk.
Yes.
So, they are, available and, to order and to check out. Yeah, I mean, to look at. Yeah. Congratulations on that, and, congratulations on your next emergency action project progress.
Yes. There weren't as many updates to this during this past month that I normally want. However, with the mural, that did take up most of my time, but I still wanted to make sure we moved forward a little bit. So the new sections in here are the mold, severe weather decision matrix, and severe storm watch and warning procedures. I did not yet go through your edits, so if you notice that those weren't corrected, that's why. I'm planning to work on that this month. So that's the updated sections
Coming along.
coming along.
Yeah, yeah. So sorry to hear we have to read about mold.
I know.
Well, and having looked through it, I looked through the whole thing today and I was like, how long is this? 48 pages. I mean, what's like, but I felt it was very easy to follow and easy to read and understandable. So
Mhm.
I commend whoever worked on that to make that.
Just you.
Just Barb.
Just you. Well, yeah, you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, continuing on with the director's report, Barb.
All right, so early voting review. We had early voting here again for the recent local election. And I was happy to say that we had a very strong voter turnout for early voting. The first day, we knocked everyone else out in DeKalb County with the most attendees for coming in to vote. So I was very proud of that. And I hope we can continue to move forward. As long as they want us, I will want us to participate in being an early voting site. Any questions on that? Okay. Staff in service. So we closed on Friday, March 28th for our annual staff in service. And we had the fire department come out and teach us some procedures. We learned how to use a fire extinguisher. They brought us outside and actually lit something on fire, and we got to have fun. It was really cool. I found it very informative because we learn about this, but it's not usually an interactive thing. So to be able to be hands-on with it and see how it feels, what I'm looking for, what the process actually would be in that scenario, I thought was really helpful. So I wanted to say thank you very much to the fire department for coming in to do that for us. I hope we can continue to do more trainings with them in the future. We also went around the building and made sure staff knew where every fire extinguisher, fire exit were, along with the alarms, and we did conduct a fire drill. So we know where all of that is. They know where the alarm box is. Everybody is up to date on fire safety. We also had Officer Bright from the Sandwich Police Department come out, and he did a short version of an introductory training to Alice, which is essentially training for potentially violent patrons or community members to come in. So staff would be a little bit more prepared for that. I would like to pursue in the future more thorough trainings on that. He told me that the full training could be up to 8 hours.
Okay.
So that would be a full day to explore if we wanted to do that in the future. And then we had a general staff update meeting where we all went around and shared ideas and updates on what was going on. And then our team building activity was an Escapely room escape game, which was all actually done from packets that we were sent. And it ended up being so much fun. It lasted 1.5 to 2 hours, and we split up into 2 teams. And we kind of had a little challenge going on, and everybody seemed to have a great time. So afterwards, I sent out a survey to staff to see how everybody felt about it. And it has a 4.5 rating out of 5. So I think people found it really engaging. And they shared some ideas about things to pursue in future years. So I think that was a pretty successful in-service. And I look forward to next year's.
Sounds like it. Mhm.
Any questions? A new e-pay service. All right, so this is also something I've been cooking in my head for a long time. We have never been a library that accepted credit card payments easily. This is, we're in the future, we should be offering opportunities for people to be able to pay with credit cards for fines or services or replacements, anything like that. I always opted against it because the price to maintain the service with credit card fees would always outweigh any benefit we'd be receiving from it in the library. It would end up actually costing the library money with compliance and time and fees. And so I never pursued it. However, there is a program through the Secretary of State called ePay, which helps libraries afford services like these. So they provide a free credit card reader to the library, and they do all of the PCI compliance, which is essentially the secure network platform for those credit card transactions to make sure credit card numbers are safe, as well as making sure our network is safe. And they produce the platform online to pay, and they give us a training. So it's essentially a foolproof method that costs the library nothing, that we now are able to provide. So if you have fines now, or if you want to do a replacement, or you want to give a donation to the library, you can pay via credit card if you'd like to, or a debit card. Hopefully in the future, we can make it so license plate payments can be done with cards as well, which I think would make things very easy and streamlined for patrons. But that is a near future option. I want to get everybody used to this and used to the system before we pursue that.
So are you saying, Barb, that the e-pay is good to go?
The ePay is good to go. It's active as of Monday.
Okay,
Yes,
probably want to put that a banner on our webpage.
it's a soft launch right now, but yes, we will
okay.
be. Yes,
Okay,
planning to.
all right, very good.
Could I just, listening to your director's report, Barb, and then also just, I went back and referenced, particularly the youth services report for the month, and I'm just seeing, and all that you're sharing, I mean, through the mural, we're spotlighting student artwork right here and right now. We're partnering with the fire department. We are supporting the freedoms that we have in our country by hosting early voting here. I'm looking at even the youth services report with math assistance, reading programs. Our library is doing a lot of community engagement and outreach, and again, I think we can't overlook what's already taking place here. So I appreciate the input with ideas, but you are fully engaged in doing all sorts of things with the community. So
Yes.
thank you.
And I just saw a box out front where the diaper closet is, that, this is gonna be an ongoing thing with a big event at the end of that for celebration of that support, so. Yeah, lots of good stuff. Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, let's move on then to new business, and speaking of lots of good stuff. Mhm.
Happy National Library Week,
Yay.
everybody.
Yes.
Yay! Today in particular is National Library Workers Day. So if everybody has an opportunity, I would love to see if you go and give a pat on the back or a word of support and kindness to the staff working, because they really do a lot. They care a lot. And I want to make sure they're celebrated in every way they can be. And I want to thank the board for helping and allowing us to treat them with catering lunch and bringing in treats of your own accord for the week for them. And you guys show us every day how much you appreciate us, and we see it and we feel it, and we really appreciate you guys so much. thank you for everything you do for us as well.
Feeling is mutual.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the board election results. I would like to thank everyone who participated in the election process for the library board. We did have three candidates who won the four-year term positions. Nancy Schroeder, congratulations. And Sheila Thompson, congratulations. And myself.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We will be inducting our new members or our returning members into this process in May, along with appointing a two-year unexpired position we have open, so we will be appointing for that, and those inductions will take place in the main meeting. Okay, moving on then to the next one.
Yeah, all right. Recently, in the last month, there has been an executive order signed by the president to cut IMLS funding, which is the Institute for Museum and Library Services. This does impact us. We work in our consortium with RAILS and Prairie Cat. RAILS stands for Reaching Across Illinois Library System. And they are, I believe, close to 90% funded through IMLS. And they are the program that allows us to provide shared materials from other libraries in our consortium. So if this continues, it's possible that we will no longer be able to share collections with other libraries, and you would only have access to sandwich specific items. Your library cards would be accessible at other libraries that are still part of our consortium. However, they would not be able to be delivered to you. You'd have to travel to the library to get it. IMLS also funds a lot of grants that people pursue. I know some construction grants. Per capita, I believe, is state funded, the more research I did, so we should still have per capita funds. But construction grant funds, any federally recognized grants like that would all go away through this funding cut. So that is, last I heard and read, the IMLS was funded through September, according to a bill that was passed. However, they did shut down the offices. None of them are working anymore. So I don't know what's happening with any of that money. We don't have anything that was standing and waiting to be delivered through them, but a lot of our colleagues had. So this is a pretty serious thing that could disrupt a lot of our services. So I'm grateful that you mentioned the statistics earlier, because I would like to point them out. Let me pull it up here. The return on investment in particular, and the interlibrary loan activity. On average, every month, 1,000 items get sent here, and we send items out to other libraries for shared collection. All those numbers would be gone. So this is pretty significant, and I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if they're going to be searching for other ways to fund this, if they might ask libraries to spend a little more in the consortium to help. I'm not sure if they have a lot of savings that could help keep them going for a little bit longer. All I know is there's going to be a lot of potential changes that we need to keep in our minds to prepare for this and make sure our community is aware of what's going on. There has been a recent development where there have been I think a collective unit of 20 plus attorneys generals who are trying to fight the defunding of IMLS in court. That's as much as I know. I know that they're going to go to court to try to fight to keep the funding. From the last I researched, the total amount of federal funding that goes to IMLS is 0.03%. So hopefully they'll be able to save that. But I want everybody to be aware, and it's something we need to keep in our minds to prepare for in the future.
Well, I read the document from Janelius,
Yeah.
who I didn't know was our state librarian until I read that.
Right.
And, he urged all of us to, and any community members, whoever, to contact congressmen too.
Right.
Yes.
To say, don't stop this, it's a vital community
Mhm.
resource, so I think that's important too.
I also looked at that link for the legislators and, I couldn't see, they had text that you could just copy and send to them or call in, so.
Yes, if you're looking for ways to contact your local government, the library can provide you links and websites like that that are provided through the Secretary of State, where you can contact your representatives with a pre-made message, or we can give you phone numbers or emails or anything you'd need if you're looking to support the libraries but don't know how.
I'm wondering if this is, in order to get this word out to the community, if this is somehow we can put something on the website.
I'd
That,
be happy to.
just puts it up there on the running banner that, these are potential funding cuts that could directly affect patrons. And they can contact their representatives as well.
Because you're pointing out that statistic, Barb, just for some perspective, the interlibrary loan, which is Rails, is 1,026, whereas in-house, 2,565, so almost half as many
Yeah,
items are going through that interlibrary loan exchange, and I know a lot of my stuff doesn't come directly from Sandwich, so
so
it's huge.
what that means is if it is defunded and we're not allowed to have Rails deliveries, we'll be circulating half the amount of books. That we would otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, this could be an immediate impact of some of the, the cuts that are being made out there. They could be directly affecting our community. So, yes, should be an action item. Yeah. Okay, let's move on then to committee reports with building and grounds, and Barb, you want to report out on that?
Yes, so I did not go for bid for landscaping contracts for this year because I was really happy with the services we received last year through Grow and Mow. However, Aztec did send us a quote as well, so I wanted to provide that for the board to review. My personal suggestion would be to go with Grow and Mow, but we are open for discussion for anything you'd like to talk about with that. And then the third quote is for Pizzo, which is strictly just for the prairie burn, which at this time, it would be a little too late in the season to do that. There might already be buds growing and we would just unintentionally destroy that growth if we pursued a prairie burn this late in the season. So we could move forward, or we could table that, and I can discuss if we could maybe keep that quote for a prairie burn in a year, or have them reach back out to us to provide a quote earlier in the year, next year for 2026 in either January or February to get services done in maybe March, mid-March, early March for a burn.
Could we accept their proposal, but saying do it next spring?
That's what I hope we can do.
Okay.
I don't know if they'll allow it, since this was supposed to be for this season.
Yeah.
And they might increase prices for next year. So we could table it and I could inquire about that. And then if they say yes, we can approve it at the next board meeting. If not, I'll just hold off until next year and make a note to reach back up in February.
Is there a burn done every year normally?
Every 5 years it's supposed to be done, 3 to 5, right?
Oh.
Next year will be our sixth
Yeah.
year.
Okay.
So,
Since
so
it's done.
that's within, yeah.
Okay.
It is disappointing that you had to reach out to them
Mhm.
rather than them say to you, hey, it's time for your burn.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we should have probably done it last year, but this, yeah.
That's another option too. If we table it and wait, we could potentially research other businesses to see competitive bids
Even though we've
Or-
already got, for a burn,
just for the burn.
yeah.
For maintenance, we did sign the 3-year contract for Pizzo. general maintenance.
Well, given the fact that this proposal didn't come in until March 14th, which we couldn't have even voted until now anyway, it might be worthwhile to say, well, we're too late for this year, but could we use this proposal for
Because
next year's burn because it came in so late?
because we weren't even able to get to it. It was
So-
too late in the meeting.
Yeah, they may appreciate
Mhm.
a commitment now, knowing that they're going to have that for next year. It's worth asking the question anyway.
Definitely.
Let's break this, motion out to, first of all, for the landscaping, a motion to, review or approve the landscaping. And can we separate out the piezo and have that as a, can we just table
We
the
could table
piezo?
it. Mhm.
Mhm. So, that would be my suggestion, is that we table the piezo and follow through with some of that conversation with them. Knowing that it is too late. Okay. So at this point, we're looking at grow and mow or Aztecs landscaping bids. So we'll take a motion, Barb's recommendation is grow and mow, we take a motion for that, I'll take a motion for that. And then we can have discussion if anybody has, any comments on the landscaping.
I motion that we accept growing mall.
We have a motion on the floor by Sheila and discussion of that, contract. Any questions?
I just went back and looked at Aztec's bid last year, and it is down a couple hundred, Grownmo's up a couple hundred, and really the difference is a wash. I think if you've been pleased with with Grownmo's service and activity, I don't know the need to change. One question I had was how has the Grownmo service compared to what Aztec did in the past?
I was not happy with Aztec.
Mhm.
Okay, then stick with Grownmo, something that we're pleased with.
Okay.
Any other questions, concerns, comments on the grow and mow? All right, we have a motion on the floor. This is, money, so, the motion is for $10,700. For grow and mow. So this will be a roll call vote. Jen,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Matthew,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Sheila,
Aye.
and Jane, aye. Okay, next is,
The
a biggie.
biggie. Yes.
Yes, DeKalb Mechanical, go ahead, Barb. You can
Yes,
talk about it.
this quote is for our annual HVAC maintenance with DeKalb Mechanical for the fiscal year 2025-2026 year. They have been servicing our HVAC unit for the past, I think, 2 or 3 years. And I have been happy with them the whole time. They've done incredible work. They're really like, they care a lot about their customer. They'll help work with you financially if you need it. They come when you need them immediately. Like I had a scare with something recently and they were going to be out here immediately if we needed it. So I really value our relationship with them and the service they provide. So I would suggest moving forward with them.
Now, we have two options in our agreement, acceptance.
Yes.
So Barb, can you tell us the difference between those two?
Be here.
Yeah, the very last page. I can read them.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, so the total agreement price for the contract would be $2,600 per year. With option 1 to deduct $550 to only replace the filters twice a year, or option 2, add $250 to cover the ductless mini split serving the IT room. I have consistently moved forward with option 2 to add $250, so the total should be $2,850 for the quote.
So I don't see those options as an either or though.
It's not, it
Right.
is,
Right,
right,
okay, okay.
Right.
So you've done the full agreement with the multiple filter replacement and then also added the mini split serving the IT room.
correct.
Okay, so,
I assume they recommend changing the filters more than the two times with that deduction.
Yes,
Okay,
especially with all of the trouble that we consistently have with the HVAC. Having it looked at more often is better, and then the additional $250 to cover the IT room. That's the air conditioning unit that controls all of our servers, like the big important IT tech that really needs to maintain a cool environment. And there had been no maintenance for that for a while. We ended up having to replace the unit in there like 5 years ago or so. So I don't want to do that again if we can avoid it.
no,
so can we continue the discussion or do?
yeah, do we have a motion? Yes. Was that?
We don't,
We don't have-
but.
Oh, yeah,
I move to.
yeah, thank you,
Yep,
Matthew.
mhm.
All right,
Where does the HVAC fall in the budget? I was trying to see, what line item is that?
Let me pull up my budget
Is
sheet.
it under technology and maintenance?
No, it's under, I believe it's under building maintenance. Mhm. Under general maintenance for building maintenance expense.
Okay, what else falls under general maintenance?
Chicago backflow, Cintas, fire protection, keep it green, and DeKalb Mechanical.
Okay.
I have the working budget breaks each category down if you'd like me to send that to you.
No, that's okay, I just, for comparison, I mean, we're sitting, no, this was just curiosity and trying to match up where the HVAC was on the
Yeah.
budget anyway, so,
Yeah.
I'm good with that, I can see it now, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think there's a lot to be said for, the excellent customer service that they've given. And the fact that, you know, they're down here when we need them,
Every time.
so.
They were the
And
ones that
they
figured it out.
solved our problems.
The big, yeah.
That was the big thing, is
Yeah.
that they came in and solved some problems that had been hanging in there for a while, so. All right, Matthew has moved to, contract, with DeKalb Mechanical for our, what do we call this? Our service agreement?
HVAC maintenance contract.
Okay, HVAC maintenance contract for $28.50. Is that the correct amount? Mm-hmm. So we have that motion on the floor. Any discussion? Any more discussion? All right, we're ready for a roll call vote on that. Jen?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Matthew?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Sheila?
I,
And Jane? Aye. All right, that takes care of our action items for that. Let's go on then to our finance committee report. Jen?
I'm gonna let Barb go ahead and present the ordinance.
Okay.
Yes, so last month Jen produced the wonderful pitch for the Illinois funds, which would be transferring the majority of the library's special reserve funds into the Illinois investment funds. Did anybody have any questions or want any reminders about why we want it? Okay, so I put together an ordinance draft where if passed, this would allow us legally to move and transfer that money. I did have our lawyer review it and I provided the lawyer's response in the board packet, which said that he was okay with that. And he mentioned one thing, which was that once the money gets transferred into Illinois funds, we would just have to designate specific accounts for that, which we talked about before. And we would build with the finance committee to distribute properly. So does anybody have any questions on that draft ordinance?
I do have a question. The transfer, right underneath the table of the funds.
Mhm.
Transfer funds and subsequent account closures will begin immediately or upon maturity. You know, one of the timeline questions that we had, would it behoove us to go ahead and move some of these funds before maturity, so that we can accrue that interest more
Right.
quickly? How will we go about determining whether we do it immediately or on maturity? Are we going to look into that, or are we just gonna say, let's do it?
I was gonna look into it and
Okay.
look at every account. So there's 3 banks represented, and I was gonna call each of them to figure out what the penalties would look
Okay.
like. And then at the finance committee, the next one we'll have between now and the next board meeting. This is one of the discussions we'll have to see
Okay.
how we want to move forward.
Okay, so at that point, if we pass this ordinance, would then we have to again vote to say on maturity or not maturity? You
No.
could just go, we could make that determination and you could vote for it.
Yes.
We being the
The
finance
finance
committee,
committee?
it still would have to come before the board.
If this passes the board tonight, the finance committee could do it on our own, because the board right now would be authorizing that we could transfer those funds.
Okay, great, thanks.
So this is basically, this is not just saying it's legal for us to do it and we'll decide later. This is deciding if we want to give the finance committee the authority to do that.
But I think since it's saying will begin immediately or upon maturity, gives then you the.
It gives, yeah, it gives the director the authority to move it, but I'm not gonna do that without going through the
Okay.
finance committee, yes, having more eyes on it,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Does that answer?
Yeah.
Okay, then we need, a motion to approve the ordinance number 25-01. Authorization for transfer of funds.
I will make that motion.
Jen moves to approve the ordinance 25-01. A roll call vote on this.
We need to have any discussion.
Oh, apparently you just did. I went backwards. Discussion. Hearing no more discussion.
Just wanted to make sure.
Hearing no more discussion, we'll vote. Jen,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Matthew,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Sheila,
I,
and Jane. Aye. Personnel Committee, we are in the midst of the director evaluation progress. The staff and Barb, or those staff that chose to do the evaluation, and Barb have submitted their evaluation information to the Personnel Committee, and Julie has received that information. So we're now at the point where the board will be receiving an evaluation
Mhm.
form. And that will have the staff and Barb's information within that form. So you would return then that to Julie once you have had a chance to do the evaluation. We do have a window on that, and I don't have the dates on that in front of me, but yeah. So we have 2 weeks, I think. Mhm. From the time that you receive that evaluation to get it back to Barb. So then we're kind of in the middle of the process at this point, and now that we are, yes, for all of you that are continuing to serve on the board, and have been, under, this evaluation period, please consider giving that evaluation, even though you may be not returning to the board. We appreciate your input you know, if you're not returning on the board. And Barb would appreciate that as well, I'm sure. Okay, moving on to policy.
Nothing to report.
No report. And no executive session that I know of. We are at the upcoming meeting section of the meeting, and we have a special meeting of the policy committee on May 6th at 2:00. And our next meeting is May 13th at 6:30. I need a motion for adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn at 7:20.
Jen moves at 7:20. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.